come home. This woman that was a photographer for the rugby team, who was just a friend, came around with a couple jars of beer and was like, welcome home. What are you doing? Tired of loathing about myself. What are you doing? And she's like, if I see one more Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball video, I'm going to do my head in. And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Like, she began to tell me a little bit about the nuance of managing copyright on this new thing that had just allowed monetization called YouTube. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And so she's like, yeah, well, Miley had just done her thing at the VMAs for Wrecking Ball, and lots of covers are getting uploaded, and we're claiming them, as it were, to assert copyright. And I'm like, okay, well, but the same folks that own Miley own the Johnny Cash catalog. Like, what's going on with that? She's like, well, it's kind of not it's not the hit thing, but it is, and so what I immediately posited was that if you could somehow find all of those things on the long tail, that collectively that would dwarf the hits. But you needed to have software to find everything, because somewhere on the order of like 200 hours of media were being uploaded per minute to YouTube at the time. And so if you didn't have software, you couldn't find it all. And so I literally had a broken leg. I'm laying there. And so me and a buddy hacked up some software to sort of an algorithm to find this stuff. YouTube, when you search for Jailhouse Rock on YouTube, it's going to surface Jailhouse Rock videos, maybe the lyric video and the official music video and maybe a popular cover, but then maybe it's going to surface some Johnny Cash and some Tanya Tucker and some other stuff that we think you might like in addition to Jailhouse Rock, right? Because they're trying to give you different things that you're going to enjoy. I don't care about all that other stuff. The only thing I care about is Jailhouse Rock and derivatives of Jailhouse Rock. And so, you know what an API is? Mm-hmm. Okay. API is?
Enough to understand what you're about to talk about.
Okay, so there's these big companies that have giant databases, right? There's a surface layer that we interact with Facebook or with YouTube, right? Then you go to youtube.com or the app to then engage with this giant database of content. And so, like I was saying, their algorithm is going to surface all this other stuff that we think you might like, or what have you, or variations of it. I don't care about any of that other stuff. I just want to see Jailhouse Rock. And so I use the API, the data API, to ping it for Jailhouse Rock, or misspellings of Jailhouse Rock, or different languages of Jailhouse Rock. And I want to know everything that is Jailhouse Rock, basically. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to review that. And I'm going to understand, is this me and Haley outside singing a cover of that?
Yeah.
Or is it our trip to Graceland where we're just talking about it and we call it Jailhouse Rock? Because one has a copyright embedded in it, the other one doesn't. So, to explain just really briefly about the nuance of the publishing versus the label business, which is fundamental to the music business, and a lot of people really don't understand.
Which I think is super important.
Yeah. So Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller were the composers of Jailhouse Rock. They wrote the lyrics and the melody and the notes of that song, the sheet music, right? That's a composition that's owned by a music publisher, right? They gave that composition to Elvis. He went in the studio and recorded it. That's a sound recording or a master recording. That's owned by a record label. Two distinct and separate copyrights. Then Motley Crue and the Beatles and Queen and a gazillion other people each covered that song. Those are new master recordings in their own right. Same underlying composition or embedded composition, as it were. We can go outside right now and record a cover of that on our iPhone, upload it to YouTube, and monetize it worldwide. And YouTube's Content ID system, that works kind of like Shazam, doesn't pick it up because we don't sound like Elvis. Mm-hmm. So it goes unattributed to Jerry and Mike. And so when I realized that, and it's not a easy nut to crack, because a composition is sort of an idea. Yeah. It's a song, right? It's the notes and the lyrics. It might have a different tempo, and it might have a different pitch and tone and different things added into it that don't make it easy to find programmatically. But there's a couple ways that you can find it. One of which is the text. If it says Jailhouse Rock cover remix compilation, then it's like that's a signal that, hey, this might actually have our copyright in it. Let's review it, and then if it does, assert copyright, and the money then flows to the appropriate party. So in the olden days, a record label would sell a record at a record store. The record store would give $10 to the record label. The record label would then pay the artist, and then the publisher, and then the publisher would pay the writer, right? You can imagine how that gets convoluted really quickly, and it's very opaque. And so when the digital streaming entities came online, they said, as it were, that we're going to split at source. So we're going to pay the labels what they're due as per their rate, and the publishers what they're due as per their rate. And all of the publishers sort of gave a collective yay, oh no, because it had been this really sleepy sort of reactive business the publishing business is older than the record business. There was people writing and selling sheet music prior to recorded music, right? And so it's this very old business. And for the first time in history, they were sort of in control of their own destiny, but ill-equipped to do so because they didn't have any of this data. A lot of it didn't make sense, and it was like, how do we do this? And when I learned all this, I was like, wow, this is an opportunity.
And you really learned this over like sharing some beers, correct?
Well,
That's what I was going to ask.
yeah. I mean, that was part of it.
Like this is started as literally like a napkin idea. It sounds like, which obviously then you delve more into, but.
Well, Renee had studied music business at Belmont here in Nashville.
I didn't know that.
She studied music business at Belmont. She started in the mailroom at a little company called Windswept, which was bought by Bug. Bug was bought by BMG, which is a huge international company. And then they moved her out west to be head of West Coast licensing in LA.
Is Renee the girl that showed you the Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball? Okay, okay.
Yeah, and that's my partner, right?
Oh, okay.
She's my 50-50 partner.
Cool.
We're 50-50, equally, wholly, privately.
Gotcha.
We bootstrapped the company. All the credit to her. There was a couple times in the start of the business where where we got offered money, and I was like, please, I want some food with my meals, and she's like, no, we're not, I don't want to owe anybody anything. We can, here's a piece of bread, here's mayonnaise sandwiches.
Yeah, why did you guys decide to bootstrap?
I was ready to take capital at the beginning. I was, we got offered plenty of money from great investors, and Renee was like, I just don't want to do it.